Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's time for the Brown Sports Bag. From the heart of the Barrens, a weekly local sports machine. Alongside John Butler, here's your host, James Brown.
Well, in these here parts, we have put the cap on football season because the Glasgow Scotties lost on Friday night. But we will talk about that game in a little bit. But we're going to really turn our focus to basketball now. It's just, 3 weeks away, but really scrimmages are going on right now. And Piper Lindsey's joining us today to talk about the Barren County Trojanettes coming off a run to the second round of the state tournament, but lost a bunch of seniors and did bring back Elizabeth Bertram and, Katie Murphy, who played quite a bit in the playoffs and all. But other than that, it's a bunch of brand new players, isn't it, Piper?
It is. We've got a few coming back. Of course, we've been talking how, we lose 4 girls, but really our rotation last year was 9. I mean, we were about 9 deep. So if you look at that, we still have about 5 kids that got a lot of experience last year with Eve Jackson and Carly Delk. Those are my other 2 seniors, as well as Elizabeth, Katie Murphy, and then Raven Ennis, another one that I think is going to get a lot of minutes this year. So we do have a pretty good core coming back.
Yeah, Ennis was kind of one of those players that as the season went along, she got more and more time. I remember she played some pretty critical minutes in the postseason.
She did, and she's gotten a lot better since then. I think gaining that experience was one of the main things. I mean, these kids are going to be in completely different roles. If you look at Katie, she was more of our backup point guard, and now, we're going to, put the team on her back and let's go. But I'm confident in her, and then like you said, with the other kids that got more experience, especially with Elizabeth, big shoes right there to fill with last season and now to this season. So, we're excited.
Yeah. So what? How important is it for those players who, even though they were backups last year, to have gotten a chance to go to play in Rupp Arena, which was the first time that happened, but they got the chance to go to Rupp Arena, see their teammates and themselves win a game in the state tournament, make it to that second round game. How much of that does it carry over into the offseason and as the season gets started?
I think it's a big deal. The kids want to go back and want to get back to that stage and level. But, really we were thinking as far as getting a diddle even and finally winning the region, we hadn't won a game there since I've been here, So to go ahead and win 3 games, that was a big step for us. And then, like you said, to finally make it to Rupp Arena, the kids still talk about today the crowd and the fan support that we had and just how great an experience it was to play there.
Yeah, I think all of Barren County was Rupp Arena. At least it looked that way.
It did.
Well, John, so when you've had this experience a few times as a head coach where you have a team coming back the next year and you've lost a lot of experience, but a lot of players got some critical experience. From your perspective, how does this play?
Oh, I think they're in good shape. Yeah. I'm not going to put pressure on her, but there'll be expectations from maybe the general public who sees that we lost 4 players, and we did. We lost some really good players, some players who've started for 3 or 4 years, and some the Pedigo girls, and we lost
England.
England, who was
big shot England,
who was tremendous in the postseason run.
Yeah.
She was big time for us. So we lost some really really good players, but it's always good to have arguably the best player in the region coming back, and Elizabeth Bertram.
Yeah,
and she's not the best; she's one of them. Mm-hmm. To have a point guard who in Murphy, who played critical minutes in the regional tournament last year, and I don't think there's any doubt in Piper's mind that she'll step right in and be good. I really believe that. And then Carly Delk played a ton last year. She mentioned Eve Jackson. There's a lot of they lost 4 starters, but I think they're going to be very, very comfortable in who she throws out there. She's got some good young players that nobody's even seen yet as well. To be perfectly honest with you, if I was rating teams, I think in fairness, I would put Bowling Green, and I think Bowling Green has all their players back, and you probably have to, in fairness, give them a top seed, but I really think we're right there too, and I wouldn't throw Glasgow out of the mix either. But from I was just going to ask Piper, your development this summer and so far, tell us, what are you happy with?
I think one main thing I think is our guard play. We're a lot better in that position. the bigs kind of worry me, but I feel like, we are a lot faster and can play a lot faster, even though we won't be as tall. We're going to have to kind of get up and down a little bit better, a little bit quicker, and get, pressing the full court probably, not to give it away what we're going to do, but that's honestly, if we're going to win,
what to expect.
Well, that was big for you last year. You kind of right around Christmas, you added that diamond pressure and things like that, and that was, I thought, a big key for you. And as you mentioned, you're probably a little bit more athletic in certain places right now.
Yeah, I think we are. And then a couple kids I didn't mention, but 2 juniors that I have coming back that will probably get a little bit more playing time, obviously, than last year. But Liberty Rice and Emma Hughes, they're both guards. That they get after it. They work extremely hard. They're aggressive, and with the style that we're going to play, they're going to have to play. And then 2 other kids that, he said we hadn't talked about yet, but I've got a couple freshmen. Macy Lockhart's one that I think could see some minutes, too, that we saw this summer.
Her mother was good.
Yeah, I saw her during soccer season. She's pretty athletic.
She is. She's very athletic.
Amanda Galloway is one of the better guards we've ever had here.
Yeah. So when you're trying to are there specific things in the off season, because you've basically had the same group of players since you've come to Barren County that just graduated? I mean, you knew they were going to be key to the program getting back to where you guys wanted it to be. Are there certain kinds of things that you ask of the players that are coming back, other than Bertram maybe, but like the other players you've mentioned that have kind of been role players or fill-in players?
Well, when you talk about Katie Murphy and last year having Mallory called pretty much 90% of the offenses. I didn't really, obviously if there's something I wanted, that I wanted to see, then we would. That's different this year. Katie's one that, I can't put that on her just yet. I think eventually she will be able to. So that's one thing. And just having the kids being leaders on the floor. I feel like we lost a lot of leadership last year. So that's one thing I've had to tell, Elizabeth and Carly and Eve and, even Raven, like step up. We need some leaders and they know, and they've accepted those roles as well. But outside of that, we still kind of do the same thing. They know our expectations, and we just focus on getting better every day.
Yeah, you mentioned your bigs. You really don't have any bigs, do you?
Yeah, when I say bigs, that's our 5'8", 5'9", Carly Delk and Raven Ennis.
Yeah, those are your guard sizes last year.
Right, that is true. That is true.
And last year you was a really good rebounding team. I thought they were super rebounders, and not just me. England was good, but the Pettigo girls were really good rebounders as well. And I'm sure I know you work on it. But that would be, I think you're going to score. I think they're going to pressure. That'd be the one issue that I think right now that's a little bit of a question mark at times against a team with size. It's going to be your rebounding. And I know it's got to be 5. We've got to go with the boards.
And that's honestly one thing we've been really focusing on this year is as far as we used to do post-guard breakdown. Well, now it's like guard breakdown kind of thing, but we send our guards to go down with Chad Withrow, and he does a lot of big stuff, which is more of a rebound focus for at least 10-15 minutes every day. So they do get a little bit of both, but like you said, we're sending all 5. Hey, we're crashing the boards, defensively especially. Let's block out and let's get it and run with it. So yeah, I expect our guards to have more rebounds this year.
Do you have specific goals or expectations for this particular group of players?
Well, the kids have high goals. They want to do what we did last year. That's kind of been the mindset. We want to win every game. That's what the kids want to do. But in reality, we want to get better. We want to be playing our best in February, March. I think we might struggle a little bit early. Again, putting kids in different roles and learning each other still. After losing 4 of our starters. But I think our main thing is as long as we're playing our best in February, March, then we'll be happy.
Yeah. And your schedule, when I was just kind of glancing over it, you've kind of, I would guess, it looks a little bit tougher maybe even than it was last year because, you've opened with Greene County, usually a pretty good team. That's on December 3rd.
They will be good this year.
Yeah, and then you go back-to-back nights against South Warren and Bowling Green. Those have been the 2 best teams in the 14th District in recent years.
Yeah, those are 2, like, right off the bat, we're getting a taste of the 14th District, and, we play Bowling Green twice, which is something that, we haven't really done before, and then I looked, to it with playing E-Town. That's going to be a tough that next Saturday.
Yeah, that's at home, right?
It is,
at Barren Hoops Classic.
We're having a little classic, we're playing in there right before the boys do, so that'll be a tough game. They're obviously really good, right behind Bethlehem. Or heck, there might be better. Who knows?
Right.
Casey County's probably top 20 for sure.
They are. Yeah, they were juniors last year, and Well, they're good.
That was one of your few losses last year. Was at Casey County.
That's right.
When did you do this? Because one of the things you did run into when you were at the state tournament, and even during the regular season, is if a team had just kind of more size or overall size and athleticism. That was one of the only things that you guys kind of struggled against last year. Did you want to try to put more of those teams like that on your schedule this year?
Well, we our contracts kind of ended with certain teams, and you have to find games,
right?
And sometimes like it's the E-towns that you have to play against, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I think that the better competition that you do play, the better you're going to be. I mean, we went to Orlando last year and played teams we didn't have a clue about,
right?
And it was a positive experience for us. We're going to Berea this year. Our first game's against, I think, Frederick Douglass, which nothing against them, but I don't know much about them.
Yeah.
I know they're a good football school. That's what Daddy
new school,
said.
but they come right out of the gate pretty good at every sport. Looks like.
So, and then I think we might have a chance to play Anderson County, which is again another team that we don't know much about, but I think would be a good matchup for us.
Yeah.
From past experience, the better you are, the harder it is to find teams. It really is. I mean, you got the ones that are willing to play are generally the real good ones.
Right. Yeah, and
that's a compliment. I mean, that tells you something when you get to a level where people not real crazy about playing you. That's a compliment.
Yeah, you've kind of gone up to another club. You joined another club after getting to the state tournament, I guess. And then you mentioned the Berea, so you guys are going to stay a little closer to home this year in your what is that, post-Christmas tournament. And then you guys are going to Meade County. Well, Breckenridge County. You're going to play Meade County on December 21st. That's another program that's usually pretty good at girls basketball, from my understanding. And you open your district December 13th at home against Monroe County. And then you guys play Edmondson. They've been pretty good in recent years.
Right.
You have Caverna. Then you have another district game against Allen County Scottsville on December 20th. And then I guess you're not really doing a pre-Christmas tournament. You're just kind of playing a couple of games here.
Right. Since I guess the whole schedule kind of got backed up or pushed forward, however you say it, where we play Allen County closer to right before Christmas.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Glasgow got pushed to after, like, the New Year, which it used to be, like, right around the 28th, 29th.
Right.
So, yeah, it just kind of, you really can't afford to do a pre-Christmas and post-Christmas with our district games right there.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned that Glasgow game. It's on January 3rd at Glasgow. And then you turn around and play Bowling Green again. And the rest of the schedule is kind of, I don't guess anything totally shocking. You guys finish up with Clinton County, as you usually do.
Right.
On that last Thursday, I guess, before the district tournament starts. When you look at your district this year, how does it shape up? Because you lost a lot of players. Allen lost a couple of key players. Glasgow has just about everybody back, and I think Monroe was pretty young, so I mean they have a lot of players back too. How do you see the district this year?
Well, I mean, I think that Monroe and Allen, we'll be competitive with them, and I think that Glasgow is going to be the one with the target on their back, or so to speak.
Yeah.
I think in the preseason rankings they've got them ahead of us, which, like you said, they lost two players, and a lot of guard play back, and I know Ashanti Gore's a big monster inside, that we're going to have to deal with. That we don't have Mackenzie anymore. Carly's going to have her hands full with her, and but again, I think that's a great challenge for us. They like their little 2-3 zone, so we've got to keep working against that. But again, I just think it's going to be a good game for us, a good matchup. That it's going to be a toss up. In February, March, that's going to be whoever's playing the best.
Yeah. And then you have your scrimmage game. Is it right after you get done here tonight?
Correct. We scrimmage Adair County at home tonight, and then we go to Louisville Butler next Tuesday for our second scrimmage.
That's an interesting scrimmage choice.
It is
a perennial state power. I think they've won 3 state championships in the last 10 years, maybe.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
Yeah. Is there anything else about your team or your schedule you can think of? Or
I do know that Caverna game, I believe we're playing over at Park City Elementary.
That is right.
That is kind of neat, different. And that's actually where I went to elementary school.
Oh,
so
is that right?
I'm kind of excited about going over there and playing. That's when I first started basketball, actually, over there.
Well, that's a lot of fun. December 17th.
When we got her out of gymnastics.
That's right.
That's right. She started off in gymnastics and turned.
I want to play basketball, Mom.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. I was happy.
Yeah, Tess did the cheerleading gymnastics things for that side of the family, so to speak.
And Piper and Haley jumped into basketball. And
we sure did.
Helped me become a lot better coach, I can tell you that.
Well,
congratulations too on last year too. I mean, it's I do think there's carryover. Even if you don't have a lot of players back, I do think it's a carryover. You carry over. The carryover is confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're also going to get everybody's best every night too, because with winning there's publicity, and you've been on TV and things like that, and people come after you too. But I still like the confidence that I think players get, and then they, as you already mentioned, they want to get back. It's fun when you get T-shirts and you get to travel,
Right.
and that's a great motivator. And it was a great year last year, and I know the kids want that same success, but Piper's been around. She knows it's not going to be given to them.
Yeah.
That's right.
Got to earn it.
Well, Piper, I want to thank you for joining us and
Thanks for
coming and
having
talking
me.
about the Trojanettes. I look forward to watching you guys again this year. It was a lot of fun last year going up to Rupp and all the excitement in the postseason. You're not quite old enough yet to start having heart palpitations, but I'm sure last year put some age on you. So
It did.
Well, this is Piper Lindsey with the Barren County Trojanettes that's joined us. This is Brown Sports Bag brought to you by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
Well, John, we're going to talk real quick about this here Glasgow Scotties football game. Coming in, I felt like the Scotties were absolutely the better team than Taylor County, even though Taylor was going to have Trey Gooden back, and he may have had an impact on the game.
Sure he did.
He had two offensive touchdowns, one that put Taylor up to stay on the kickoff to start the second half. They ran a reverse for him, and he hit the touchdown on that.
He and the Oliver kid are dynamic playmakers.
They are. I'll tell you where he had a bigger impact, though, was actually on defense, because basically they were able to move him around, and they did not give up any big plays to Glasgow other than the one touchdown after Tanner Abernathy got hurt that
Right.
John Carter Myers completed a touchdown pass on. But they did a great job of just closing out and making the tackles, and Glasgow just struggled to get out of that situation. And then Abernathy, if you look at his stat line, it looks okay. He was, before he got hurt, he was 15 to 20, I think, for like 115 yards. He was completing his passes, but the biggest thing was they were not Glasgow was having trouble throwing the ball down the field. They, like I already said, they weren't hitting the big plays. And then Taylor County was getting a lot of pressure on Abernathy if he held the ball for too long.
Yeah.
And actually on the play where he got hurt.
That's probably why there was short passes.
Yeah.
Didn't have time to get it down the field.
It was that, I guess. And then, on the play he got hurt, basically they got pressure on him and he tried to escape, and then he
Right.
got tackled.
Well, it's a tough deal. I mean, he had a really, really good year.
He did.
He had a really, really good year, and you never know how these things are going to play out. But it's not easy to overcome when you have a quarterback
Yeah.
who's been as successful as he has goes out. That's a tough one. And the Carter kid did a good job when he came off the bench. But he doesn't have near the experience as Abernathy.
Yeah.
And the first game was close between the two without Gooden. Taylor is I kept saying all year, I think this is the one team that that Glasgow has to worry about.
Yeah.
I probably felt like maybe Glasgow was a little bit better, but in fairness, I have not seen either team play. But I knew Taylor was really good, and it just came. Sometimes these games come down to a play here or play there.
Yeah.
Big play here, and those are the differences of the game. Who makes one more play? And I know it's disappointing for Glasgow. They had a really good year. I thought they prepared themselves for the playoffs this year better than they prepared in a long time. They had a good schedule.
Yeah.
Throwing South Warren and Franklin on there, I thought was really effective. And they were 10-1 going into the game, and they were set up for a pretty good run in the postseason. But this reformatting of the district, they had to go right back and play Taylor County a second time in about a month, and they did get to host it, but came up a little short. And I know. You're from a coaching perspective, you're always disappointing when you think you have a team good enough to make a big run.
Yeah.
Those always hurt.
Yeah.
But it's not like they lost to a bad Taylor County team.
Right.
Last year I was really surprised when they lost to Walter and Verona on the road. I thought Glasgow was by far the better team and just didn't play well. Taylor County and Glasgow are pretty close.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I really think Taylor County is going to go to Paducah Tillman on Friday night and win.
Wouldn't be surprised.
And I mean, we will see, because I think the Sales will beat Bardstown, and then I don't, that the whole RPI thing kicks in, and no telling who plays whom after that.
Right.
But some people may forget the fact that Taylor County basically made it. What they make it to the semi-state or regional final last year before they lost to Franklin Simpson, I think it was. When they were in 4A.
Yeah.
And so they dropped down to 3A. So this was not just if people had seen Taylor County in the past, this is not the Taylor County they had seen before.
No, there's so much they've got. Just in the last 5 years, there's so much added, so much more speed and athleticism.
Yeah.
The old Taylor County teams were not near as athletic as this type of Taylor County team.
Right.
Because I've seen Taylor County play football all my life.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit different animal for the most part. And still, you want to win those games, and it can go on either way. But losing, Abernathy, and it's not just that they lost the quarterback. It was a psychological loss too, because they brought the ambulance out. I mean, they took him to the hospital, and
right.
And there was a delay in a game, and that's you never know how that affects. Especially a very likable kid and a person that plays that position. That I guarantee you it may not have had an impact psychologically for an entire second half, but I guarantee it did for a moment.
Yeah.
And you just hate to see somebody end their high school career by going to the hospital. But he is going to be fine, and he'll recover. But that's still, a tough loss for the Scottish. Never could get their running game going.
No.
They held Nick Mitchell for under 100 yards again, and Taylor, had to give them credit. They came in and got the win.
The interesting thing about Glasgow's team is they've got a lot of seniors. They're going to lose a lot of seniors, but they actually have a lot of young players that played a lot this year as well. I mean, you mentioned John Carter Myers. I mean, he's been making his name on the defense ever since early in the season.
I've never, for sophomore, any defensive player, John Carter Myers he's got. I don't know who leads the state in interceptions. He's got to be up there.
Yeah,
seems like he gets one or two every week.
Yeah. Well, he's been the leading tackler in several.
That's correct, and he's probably next year. I'm sure he's the favorite to be the starting quarterback as a junior. And just knowing his parents, he's probably going to grow 2 or 3 more inches.
Yeah, his dad's a pretty big dude.
His mother was my assistant coach when we first started.
Okay.
She's a tall woman. So. I'd say he'll come back and he'll probably be 2 or 3 inches even bigger, and I don't think it's hard to go 10-2 every year, but just the tradition of Glasgow, they don't throw in very many 3 and 8 years.
Right. And they'll still have this same schedule next year, which will be interesting, and the playoff schedule will be the same.
Yeah, South Warren and Franklin will be better.
Yeah, they will be, because Franklin was young this year, and they ended up beating Allen. They ended up putting 50 points on Allen on Friday night, which actually surprised me.
South Warren's better players are sophomores.
Yeah, I mean, their quarterback, Veltkamp, he was out in that game when they played Glasgow. So next year's schedule will be the same schedule, and it'll be tougher than it was this year, I think, because Glasgow had a good, experienced team, and the couple of teams that are better on that schedule, 3 or 4 of them actually were younger teams. So.
Yeah, well, the sports can bring so many great memories. We just talked to Piper, and it's just a fine line between winning and losing.
Yeah,
and with Mackenzie England last year, if she doesn't make the shot against Allen in the first round of the district, the 3 at the buzzer, all the stuff that came afterwards,
right?
All those memories, all that. Hey, we just talked about that. It will carry over this year, but all that's out the window.
Yeah,
and it's such a fine line, and Glasgow could just as easily beat Taylor as Taylor beat Glasgow. It's a play here, a play there. And it's tough when you lose those, because it's like, well, what could have been? Because Glasgow would listen. The Paducah, going to Paducah Tillman. Paducah Tillman is not the same Paducah Tillman of 20 years ago.
Right.
Glasgow could have just as easily gone down, just like you think Taylor County may go down and beat Paducah Tillman. Same thing with Glasgow.
Yeah. Well, and also ironically, in some sense, those things help define coaches and how we think about coaches as well.
Yeah, and not fairly. I mean,
No.
it's not. There's nothing fair about it. To be
Yeah.
perfectly honest with you, it's not. It's not. We won a regional tournament one year with T.J. Thomas, who made a shot on her butt in the middle of the lane. That we didn't practice that.
Yeah.
She also
run that one?
She also made a shot in the first round of the district to tie it to get in overtime. I mean, there are things that happen. My first regional title, we were down 8 points in the third quarter in the first round of the district, and Jamie Jones made a three, just changed the momentum completely. And these things, these things happen, and
Right.
players have to make plays, and players can make coaches look really good. Now, coaches contribute. Obviously, you have to put your team in position, but still, it still comes down to a play here, a play there, a shot, a made play in football. And I think sometimes we overlook these things. Taylor County has good players.
Yeah.
And I know there was a lot of penalties and things like that, and that kind of took away the Abernathy injury and the amount of penalties, I think, took away some aspect of that game. But, nevertheless, a good season, and you should not be defined always by your losses.
Yeah. Well, they'll be back. They'll have another good season. The seniors on this team, I know, they're probably still hurt this week.
Sure.
I'm sure they are. They have to look back in their career, 4-year career at Glasgow, and they've had a really good run.
They really have.
It's been a great run for the Scotties over the last 4 years, and they've got I think it's a pretty good sophomore group, because also Hunter Scott, sophomore as well.
Made a lot of big plays.
Yeah, they've got a lot of good young players as well, and so they'll be back next year. They've got some rebuilding to do, but I think it'll be fine. Alyssa Brown Sports Bag brought to you by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
Well, John, it's dark and cold outside. That's kind of the downside that comes with basketball season. It gets dark and cold.
At 4:30.
Yeah, at 4:30. Yeah, I mean, man, when earlier today it was kind of nice. The sun was out. It was, it felt all right, and then the clouds came in, and I walked outside, and I was like, what happened?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of daylight savings time or whatever when we lose the hour.
Yeah, I mean, our congressmen and women have all these things they like to talk about. Well, they need to fix this. Let me tell you that right now.
Can we get on that? That's right.
Get on that.
We need more light. That'd be a good campaign.
Bring more light.
Bring more light. That's right.
If you weren't on the Light Brigade
right.
party, then you're not getting voted into office. Anyway, you spent some time with the WKU Lady Toppers, and they are off to a good start.
They're off to a great start.
Yeah.
3-1, and the only loss was at 7th-ranked Louisville, in which they played well.
Yes.
It was down 12 going into the fourth, and ended up losing by 18, but the game was a lot closer than that.
Mm-hmm.
But since that time, they've won 3 straight, and they've beaten 3 NCAA tournament teams. I mean, Sunday they destroyed a good Central Michigan team who was a MAC champion last year, had 3 starters back. The women won by about 30, 35, and
destroyed
Belmont on Wednesday. And Belmont won like 30 games last year, OVC champion, 3 straight years. They beat the stuffing out of them and won on the road at Mercer, who was the NCAA tournament team last year. I mean, it's basically mainly the main core players are back. Dee Givens. Whitney Creech is probably the most. It's hard to be the most improved player when you're a senior and you started.
Yeah.
But she's been in double figures all 4 games. Last year she only averaged 5 points a game, and she looks like the player they recruited out of high school. I mean, she's the all-time leading scorer in high school basketball history. She had over 5,000 points. She averaged 51 a game her senior year.
Yeah.
And she is playing lights out right now. And, it's good to see. I mean, they've really improved, and they look like a legitimate threat for the Conference USA, title.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Rice is a top 25 team.
Yeah, they lost by 1 yesterday to Texas A&M. Texas A&M is 5th in the country.
Yeah, so Rice is the cream of the crop in Conference USA, but it looks like the WKU women.
Them in middle.
After Collins got his first year out of the way. And last year, defense was like the thing.
Defense and rebound.
Yeah,
but they lost two fantastic players in the Brown girls.
Yeah, they two of the best players probably in the program's history.
That's correct.
That had graduated the year before, along with their coach. But so Collins was not necessarily rebuilding a team, but I'm sure he was trying to figure out whose roles were going to be what as it was going along.
Right.
And they got better at defense throughout the year, but this year they've kind of started on fire in every facet.
Yeah, they're forcing. I think Belmont had like 24, 25 turnovers and a really good Central Michigan team in about 19 or 20, and not only are they forcing turnovers, they're shooting the ball incredibly well too, and that's if you can guard people and then knock down threes, that's generally a pretty good combination.
Yeah, so they look like they're going to be on a pretty good roll this year. I think I think one of the interesting things too, as we talked about this with the WKU men, with the WK women, there are a lot of Kentucky players on that team.
Yeah, well, there's more in the men than the women.
Yeah,
the women has the Whitney Creech. Dee Givens is from Lafayette.
Mm-hmm.
She's one of the best players in the conference. She's one of the top 20 in the country, probably top 50 at least.
Yeah,
and then you got Bree Glover from Glasgow.
Yep.
She's ineligible right now, but those are three that people would know. And then Alexis Brewer, I forgot. She's hurt right now. She's the second leading scorer, a really good shooter, and she's out with a shoulder injury. She's LaRue County.
Yep.
So there's four. So you're right. Now, once I started thinking about it, the men and women have done a good job of recruiting local talent.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see, and that's a good way to get fans in there. We're going to take a break here in just a second and be joined by Jordan Rice. But first, John, you got to experience something new as a broadcaster. You got to spend some time on television talking about the WKU women.
Yeah, I thought I have a face for radio, as they say. TV's a different deal. Yeah, I've done two. I think it's ESPN3 games.
Yeah.
And did the Central Michigan and the Belmont. And I enjoyed it. It's different. It's different.
How is it different? That's I was curious because you've done the radio for a couple of years now,
right?
But how is it different on the television side?
Well, you have to be aware of replays. That's you don't worry about replays on radio, but when you're showing replays during the game, they want you to talk about what you see in the replay. So you have to pay attention to the monitor about what's going on. That's one thing. And it's different. You got a producer in your ear. The producer's constantly
is that right?
Yeah, they're talking while the game's going on and, trying to make you aware of.
Is that not a little bit distracting?
It takes you a while, but they'll tell you, we got a replay coming up of this person.
Gotcha.
Or they'll ask you which replays do you want and things like that. It's a lot more. There's a lot more to it. You got a producer and a director and things like that. But I've actually enjoyed it. I don't know how good I am, but Jeff has really helped me.
Yeah,
Jeff Youngblood, he's really, really good. He's done 1,000 of these, and he's made the transition easier. And just like the producer told me, he said, just listen, you worry about the game. Just whatever you say, talk. And the other thing about doing TV is that you have more freedom to talk. When you're on radio, and when you're doing color on the radio, you don't really want to talk where the action's going on because people are listening on the radio. They want to know what's going on.
Yeah, you don't want to step on the description of what's happening.
That's correct. On TV, people are watching it, so you can kind of talk through a play at times, and so that's another little subtle difference. So I think they expect me to talk a little bit more on TV than radio.
Yeah, well, I was fascinated how that was going to work out for you, but just because this is the first time you're doing this, and as far as I know, it's the first time you've really ever done anything like this.
It is. I'm not a Dick Vitale yet, so I'll say that. So
you need to start writing down some catchphrases there, John.
No, I don't quite have those down yet, but I'm trying. So I got a few more, so I'm working on it.
We'll workshop some catchphrases for you. How about that?
I got it.
All right. Well, this is Brown Sports Bag, brought to you by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back to talk about the Caverna Colonels with head coach Jordan Rice.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
Well, John, we're back here for our final segment. We're going to spend some time talking to Jordan Rice. And then next week, we're going to get Justin Stinson in here, the girls' coach for Glasgow, and Cornelius Faulkner, the girls' coach for Caverna, will join us next week.
That's Jordan's boss.
Jordan's patriot and boss, right?
Yes, it is.
Thanks for joining us, Coach Rice. This is your second full season coming up. You were telling us when we were off air. You took over at the end of 2 seasons ago and finished off that one. And, that season you guys finished up all right. Last year was a bit of a struggle for you as you took over, but you had some talent you had to replace. And I'm guessing it took a little while to kind of get all that gelled. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Well, I want to just thank you for having me. And, last year was a struggle. We had a couple guys that they got playing time, but they wasn't experienced in being the guy on the court.
Yeah.
And it took a whole season. We played a lot of games, and it was a lot of games. We was in a lot of games, and then fourth quarter come around, we didn't know how to win. They was used to guys being able to take over the game for them, and they didn't have to do it. So this year we've had a lot of guys stepping up this summer, working in the gym, in the weight room, played in a scrimmage Saturday. Guys look really good, taking a leadership role.
Where'd you guys play Saturday?
We played up in Barren County. We played against Whitefield and Louisville Western.
Okay. Who are some of the people who are stepping up for you at this point in time?
D. Richardson, Drew Rhodes, Jackson Dunnigan. Even my younger guys are stepping up. I got a freshman, Kenyon Wood. He's stepping up. He's been a leader. He's been vocal on the court more than most freshmen would be.
Yeah. Now, when you took over last year, what were your expectations when you took over?
Well, it was probably as any coach would be to shape your guys into what you want them to be and not let them just run wild. And it took a whole season to get that done. But looking at the guys Saturday, they look really good. It's starting to come in how I pictured them to look. Our defense is looking really good. They're playing physical, up tempo. The guys they're buying in.
How young was the team that you took over?
We had juniors last year. They're seniors this year, but in experience wise, it was like their first year actually being those guys on the court.
Yeah.
So it was like having freshmen all over again.
Right.
I was going to say, my experience of coaching for many, many years or whatever is oftentimes the next year. It takes a while to set not only your culture but defensively what you want. The toughness defensively and so forth. Are you comfortable with the style of defense that you want to play this year?
Yeah, the guys they're buying in. That's all we focus on in practice.
Got to get them to buy into it.
Buy into it. We do defensive drills the first 45 minutes of practice before we even touch a basketball.
What kind of defense do you want them playing? What are you trying to get them to accomplish?
I want them to passing lanes, play all the passing lanes. I heard Bob Huggins say, if your guys foul every possession, the ref can't call it every time.
Very true.
So that's kind of what Warren Central and Bowling Green believe too. So
I remember playing those guys. Bowling Green, they up in you all game. So that's kind of what I want my guys to be, and they're buying into it. I got guys that they're getting after it.
Yeah. Was that? I mean, you mentioned it took all year to kind of get there, but on the offensive side, I mean, basically the scoring from the previous year was gone.
Oh yeah, it took about 90% when Joby and them graduated. Joby, Howard, Sincere Page. But I got some guys. They've been working in the gym. They've been in the gym, dedicated to the gym.
Beyond the style or the effort wise on defense, you want them to play. I mean, is there a specific kind of system that you're trying to get them to play into?
We're just focusing on man defense right now.
Gotcha.
Because if we can guard man, I believe we can play his own defense.
Right. And then on the offensive side, is there something that you're trying to get your guys to accomplish?
Be aggressive.
Be aggressive.
Aggressive in decision making. That's a lot that we've been harping on.
Yeah.
Because a lot times last year we'd get down to clutch and we'd make bad decisions, not playing winning basketball. So I've just been preaching winning basketball.
Mm-hmm. Now you played at Caverna, right?
Yes, sir.
Now what group of guys were you with at Caverna? When were you there?
I was there when Coach Blake Button, that was his first year. That was my senior year, 2011.
Okay.
I played with Derek Lindsey, Kohei, Fred Reed, those guys.
Got you, John.
Well, sum up your district right now. It's I assume that LaRue will still be the favorite. They got the big kid back. Is that
kid.
Right? Yeah,
they have him.
LaRue.
They have Jeremiah Belton and the big good kid that really played a focus on the season last year. I believe. I mean, it could be open if we come and play in Hart County.
Hart has a new coach, don't they?
Hart has a new coach. Yes, they do. And Greene County. I mean, We're gonna play against guys who's gonna play every night, regardless of who's there and who's not there.
I'm from Greene County, and they have good size. They're big. Now Hart County lost a really good guard too. It's not that they lost their coach; their guard was good, right?
Yeah, John showed us. He was an outstanding player.
That's right. So you got a chance to move up in that district.
We do.
With the loss of, I can't imagine. I don't want to put it on the spot. I can't imagine Hart. It's hard to get better when you lose your best player.
Oh yeah,
I mean it's really hard to do. Yeah, that's exactly right.
I know all about that.
That's hard. That's hard to do. And Greene lost, I think, 5 senior starters. Yeah. They have the Bush kid back. That's good. But
I think he's a junior this year.
He's a junior. He's a good player.
He's solid in the post.
Yeah. Now you guys, you actually opened before pretty much anybody else around here because you guys play on that Monday night on December 2nd, right, against Fort Knox?
Yes, sir.
Is that a boy-girl doubleheader? I guess it is. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I think it's a traditional thing now. We've played
Fort
Knox the first game for a long time.
I agree.
Now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So and then you guys go ahead and jump right into your district on December 6th there at Hart County. I mean, John mentioned your district, but when you're talking to your players this year after last year's struggles, what goals do you have set for your players? I mean, do you have some goals set, like we want to try to win this many games, we want to try to get in the district, get a higher seed in the district? Is it kind of like that for you?
Yeah, well, one thing I've told the guys is to forget about last season.
Is that right?
Last season never happened. If we harp on last season, then we're not gonna get no better. We can't move forward.
Right.
So we want to just forget about last season and focus on this year. I let the guys set the standards of what they want to be. If they want to set the standards high, that's what we're gonna reach for. Mm-hmm. They said they want to win district. They said they got the ability to do it, and I believe everything they say. And I believe we can go do it.
And Class A is always an important deal too. It's wide open too.
Yeah.
Campbellsville and Campbellsville's in it.
Campbellsville,
Greene is Washington County in your all's Class A.
Washington County, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very open. There's not I wouldn't say there's a dominant favorite, is there?
It used to be Bardstown, but I think they're 2A.
I think they moved up. That's right.
I guess Bethlehem still is a 1A in that region, right?
Bethlehem is 1A.
Mm-hmm. And then, I mentioned that you go straight from the Hart County game, and then you go to LaRue County. So, I mean, you guys get pretty early tests.
In Greene.
In Greene.
Yeah, we have three
in a row
district
right
opponents in a row.
Yeah, so I mean, as you're looking at your schedule, I mean, you open with Fort Knox, you had the scrimmage, but when you're looking at your schedule, how important is it for you guys to do well or even win those district games early in the season? You think?
Oh, I think that'll be a definite confidence booster to follow the season up. If we go in and play Fort Knox and then we have Hart County, that'd be 2 big wins back to back before we go play LaRue County, which would be a good test for us on the road.
Yeah. And then you guys play Bethlehem, which is after that Greene County game, which is usually a pretty decent program there. Bethlehem has. Yeah. And then you got Barren County. The Bethlehem game's on the 16th. And then the 17th, it says away. Now, that's the Barren County game that's at Park City, right, on December 17th.
I believe so.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about that, going and playing in the elementary school? It's kind of old school, isn't it?
Yeah, we did it. We played Hart County at Hart Memorial 2 years ago. So
right.
It was a unique experience. Being in a small gym at a rival game that big, it was a lot of people standing up in there.
Yeah, is that one? Now, I guess whenever they approached you guys about doing that game, I mean, were you like, yeah, that sounds great, let's do that?
I'm with whatever they want to do.
down here behind Bunch or whatever, you play down there too, huh?
Hey, we can play outside. I'm trying to get my guys ready to play anywhere.
Yeah. I think that's pretty nifty, though, that you guys are going to play that game at Park City. I think that'll be pretty interesting. Cool. Because, I mean, really, in a lot of ways, Park City's in your backyard, not Barren County's in a lot of ways in terms of the whole of the school district.
It's about 6 miles in a row.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a neutral site game.
Yeah.
But then you guys do that. You go Warren East, and that's at the Warren East Hoops Classic. And that's pre-Christmas, and then you have a post-Christmas tournament. I guess this is at Hancock County where you guys are playing Hancock and McLean.
Have you ever played down there? I've been down there one time. They got a beautiful gym.
No, it'll be the guy's first
at
time
Hancock.
Yes, it surprised you. It's a nice gym. It's down there on the Ohio River too, by the way. But yeah, it's a good place to play.
I've never been to their high school. I've been over there a couple of times for youth baseball and whatnot.
Yeah, I played baseball down there. I've never been to the high school.
It's nice.
Oh. And then you guys, do you have anything else going on, or are you off for that week between then and when you play Russell on the 7th?
Yeah, we're off that week. Hopefully, it'll be a good week to recoup from eating all that food on the Christmas break.
Yeah. So then, further on down your schedule, you come back after Christmas. Then you get back into your district games again there on the home game against Hart County on January 10th. And then you open that All-A. You're playing Campbellsville in that All-A to start with.
Yeah, that'll be. We played Campbellsville last year. I think we drew them again this year.
Yeah.
So,
Coach Anthony Epps is taking over there.
Yes,
That's
sir.
right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Do your players know who he is?
No, they don't, but I know who he is. I know who he is. I'm a fan.
Yeah. He's a great
He's got
high school player and college player.
Yeah, he's got
obviously.
a son in Marion County that's going to be.
Is that right?
He's going to be good.
He's going to be better than his daughter?
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, his daughter's
But
pretty
his son is pretty good.
Yeah. When you look down your schedule beyond the district games, what are some games on your schedule you look at and say, this is going to be a good test for us or a good opportunity for us?
I don't think I could just pinpoint one game or a couple games. I'm going to say all of our games.
Yeah.
It's a chance for our guys to go out and get better.
Christian Academy out of Louisville. That's a new one, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, they're coming.
It'll be our homecoming.
Really?
Yeah, I mean that's
Yes,
they normally have a pretty good basketball program.
Yeah, they had a pretty good season last year.
Now, you guys, you play a pretty heavy 5th region schedule here, don't you?
Yeah, we wanted to. Me and Coach Faulkner talked about getting more teams from the 5th region on our schedule so that our guys could be shown in the 5th region as well.
Yeah.
To have the opportunity to make the 5th region teams and tournament teams, things like that.
Gotcha. What are some other things when you're kind of thinking about this season? You mentioned that the players kind of set the goals and whatnot, but for you as a coach, what are some things you look at? You mentioned getting them buying into playing the defense and that kind of thing, but what are some other things that you look at your team and you think, hey, these are some things we've got to get better at, or these are some things where we're where I want us to be?
I would say the leadership roles.
Yeah.
Having my younger guys buy into what my older guys are doing. Having my older guys show the younger guys this is the way that things need to be done.
Yeah.
Show them that our hard work is going to get us to success. And then as those guys start to go out, the younger guys start to move in, and they know the ropes of how to take over the team and what we expect as coaches.
And sometimes players, it's just natural. I don't care where you are, but players are all into their own generation. And I don't think at times that players understand the history. There's a great basketball history at Caverna.
Yeah,
great basketball history,
that all the time.
and sometimes
right.
And I can give you this advice, Coach Rice. If they doubt, you've got a guy walking your halls at Caverna that can tell them about a lot of good teams. And that's Mr. Cobb.
Yes, sir.
The godfather over there.
Yes,
He's
sir.
one of the greatest people I've ever met.
Oh, yeah.
When I was at Caverna back in the 90s.
Yeah.
He is just a great, great guy and would do anything for Caverna.
For anybody.
And for anybody, but he also will tell you when you're doing something wrong, too.
Oh, he's going to let you know.
That's exactly
He's
right.
going to let you know.
He's a great ambassador. And
Yeah.
think the world of him.
So do you call up Boris Siakam and ask him if Pascal can come visit you guys like at one of your games?
I haven't asked him that yet, but Boris actually comes and plays basketball with us on Sundays.
Oh, does he?
He comes every Sunday and plays basketball with us.
So they get a chance to work against a Division I basketball player and that kind of stuff?
My big guy, my post guy, he's been playing against Boris. Boris been roughing him up.
That's good.
Get him tough. Whenever Boris is in the country, though.
Yeah.
He's gone out of the country a lot of times with his brother.
Yeah.
His brother was unbelievable year last year at Toronto.
Yeah, and he's even. I mean, look, he's
having
even
even
this
better
year.
year.
I think he
this year.
just signed a little bit of $100 million extension.
130 mil.
Yeah.
just a little change.
Just a little bit. That's right.
Yeah, I mean that's just one of the people, that when talking about the Caverna history and whatnot, that's just like one of the people. I mean, Pascal didn't go to Caverna, but I mean Boris did for his senior year and went and played at Western. And then I mean you guys have got tons of guys who have come through
Mason
there that
Faulkner.
have been. Yeah, Mason.
Mason comes during the summer when he's off. He comes and works out with the guys. My point guard D Richardson, he worked out with me and D all summer.
Yeah.
So that was kind of good for D, and he talked to D and tried to help him with decision making and things like that of how to take the game in and play the game and how the game comes to you, not forcing things like that. It's good to have guys like that come back
Sure.
and shed some light on the younger guys.
Yeah. How do your younger guys react to meeting some of these folks?
They act like they don't know who they are, but until they get on the court with them, and then they realize all this
Education.
These are the guys that was before us.
Yeah. Now, do you have any of your guys who are on your team who are like some of the holdovers from the legacy families there at Caverna that have torched them through the years? Not
any recent ones that are playing now, but on down the road we might have a couple that move up and play with them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm like, we kind of talked about the fact that you guys had a bit of a bumpy ride last year. It was really a transition year for the Colonels. Usually pretty competitive program in boys basketball.
Never down long. Not in I played at Green back in the 80s and like I said, coached at Caverna and things like that as well, and never, ever down long.
Yeah.
And it's a good school.
I think we'll be a surprise to some teams this year. I'm going to keep that secret in the bag, but I think we'll be a surprise to some of them.
Well, you'll get a good dose early because your early season. You'll get to see all 3 district opponents early, and you'll have a pretty good indication of what you need to work on and what you need to improve by Christmas.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, Jordan, I want to thank you for joining us and talking to us about your team here. I'm looking forward to seeing the Caverna Colonels play this year and the Lady Colonels. Everybody else, like I said, we're going to have Stinson and Cornelius Faulkner next week talk about the Lady Scotties and the Lady Colonels.
And talk about maybe his daughter and son.
Yeah.
They're doing quite well.
Yeah, Madison at Campbellsville.
Got her 1,000 point last week.
Yep, they're having a great season, and Mason is just off to a rocking start in Western Carolina.
Recorded the first triple-double in school history at Western Carolina.
That is right.
Good.
Well, this is Brown Sports Bag brought to you by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be back next week.
Thanks for listening, and be sure and join James and John once again next Monday at 4 for the Brown Sports Bag, a local weekly sports machine presented by McDonald's of Glasgow.
Coming soon to your FM dial, this is Fox Sports Radio, WCDS Glasgow, AM 1230.